Hey, I'm Org, and in this video I'm going to review the Grumman F3F, the Tier 3 US multi-role fighter. And may I say, this aircraft is a beast. But before I get into the reasons why, I'm going to talk a bit about this aircraft's history. The F3F actually had a fairly long life as a frontline aircraft, which is to say that it never actually saw combat. It entered service in 1936, and the last one was retired from the front lines in 1941, although it was used for training for some time afterwards, giving it 5 years of frontline service with the US Navy. The F3F story begins with the early tests of the F2F, which I've reviewed previously. The Navy thought that the F2F was an excellent fighter, except for its poor stability and spin characteristics. The F3F was basically conceived as an F2F, those problems fixed. To do so, the fuselage and wings were lengthened, while the fuselage was also streamlined, and a more powerful engine was fitted into the later variants of the F3F. Oddly enough, for an aircraft designed to overcome stability issues, the F3F did not fare well in testing. The first prototype was destroyed after 2 days. While testing the ability of the aircraft to pull out of dives, the wings and engine fell off. Monitoring equipment registered that the aircraft pulled 14 Gs before coming apart. The second prototype also crashed, again after 2 days of testing. This time the test pilot survived and reported that at high speeds the aircraft became unstable and had entered into an unrecoverable spin. The aircraft was repaired and it eventually managed to complete testing. Somehow the US Navy found this aircraft satisfactory and ordered it into production. In World of Warplanes, the F3F is a bit of an aberration in the US multi-role fighter line. This is because it's an excellent turn fighter and a lackluster energy fighter, which is in stark contrast to the rest of the line. The previous aircraft, the F2F, performed well with both playstyles. However, when upgrading to the F3F, the player loses the relative advantage that they had in speed. The F3F has the worst dive speed of Tier 3, and the top speed in level flight is below average for the tier. The rate of climb of the F3F is still good, second only to the I-16 and A5M in certain configurations. However, energy fighting is not this aircraft's strong point. Where it excels is in turn fights, where its turn time of 8.7 seconds is the best for its tier. In fact, it's the third best turn time in the game, behind only the A4N and the I-15 at Tier 2. This can be further reduced by flying out with the stock guns, although there is little point since you can already outturn almost anything anyway. The 12.7mm machine gun armament is my recommendation for flying this aircraft. This level of firepower is not exceptional for this tier, but it is also more than sufficient for dealing with all your opponents. This aircraft can also carry 2 bombs, but I never even bothered trying them out. They detract from performance significantly and really just don't seem worth it. With regards to manoeuvrability, I've already talked about the awesome turn time of the F3F. However, it does have a weakness, a very poor rate of roll. Because of this, you have to avoid scissors or rolling engagements. If you have an F3F stuck on your tail, that is the best way to defeat them. By scissoring, there is a good chance of forcing an F3F to overshoot and fly in front of you, or at the very least you'll be able to avoid its line of fire and lead it towards friendly AA guns or fighters. This also means that when flying the F3F, you want to try to keep turning on a single axis. Yo-yos, for example, are not overly great in the F3F, and a flat turn behind your opponents will get you on the tail just as quick, if not quicker. However, the F3F is excellent in vertical turning matches, since it has a powerful engine and rate of climb. You can essentially retain energy very well in these manoeuvres and outfly your opponents easily. In this aircraft, I had 2 or perhaps 3 go-to defensive manoeuvres when being targeted by enemy aircraft. The first was a simple flat turn. Very few aircraft can match you in this turn, and if they are behind you, very few can match you if they are behind you. But if they are approaching head-on, they will have a good opportunity to shoot at you. But if you time your turn correctly, you'll be on the tail as they pass. A variation of this is the climbing defensive spiral, which also uses the rate of climb of this aircraft to your advantage. This forces a tailing aircraft to lose energy by both trying to match your turn and gain altitude. Even the I-15 and A4N will eventually run out of energy if they try to follow you through this manoeuvre, and will allow you to either disengage or counterattack. The third defensive move I used was the Immelmann. This is primarily useful against lower tier aircraft that won't be able to string a couple of Immelmanns together without stalling, at which point you'll be well placed to turn your Immelmann into a loop and destroy them. Offensively, the F3F is as simple as it gets. All you do is get on an enemy's tail and destroy them, then find the next target. The usual provisos apply. Try to target the highest and most isolated enemy you can. You can feel free to break off an enemy's tail if you're being shot at fairly often, since it's fairly easy for you to regain any aircraft's tail using your rate of turn. By using these tactics, I was able to maintain a 64% win rate over 94 games, killing 165 enemy aircraft and getting 35 assists, which gives me an adjusted kills per game of 1.94, which I am very happy with. Hopefully these tactics will be as successful for you. So this game's almost over. The last enemy aircraft left is this full health AO192 here in front of me, but foolishly it's choosing to turn with me, which, well, I just said this is basically the best turn fighter in the game, and that's a heavy fighter, so it's not going to win that engagement. And I believe I got 4 kills there, and won the game. At the end there I was single-handedly fighting against 3 enemy aircraft, but as you saw I managed to pull it off. This next game's kind of interesting because it shows you a few of the points I talked about. It's the last replay I'm going to show in this video, mainly because I actually don't have a lot of replays to show you, since all my replays from before patch 1.7 just won't work, so I just don't have that many to show you. Anyway, we spotted a Focke-Wulf 57. It might be AFK, but often Focke-Wulf 57s just fly straight and level at the start and try to bomb some ground targets. But either way, well, it's turning, so it's not AFK, so I feel a bit more justified in shooting it down. There you go. And now this is kind of a bad situation. There is a Dornier 17Z on our team, which the entire enemy team's chasing, and the Dornier 17Z's running away from us, you know, its allies, and flying over enemy AA, actually flying deeper into enemy AA, which means that this could well end poorly for our team, since we are probably going to get involved in a dogfight above enemies' anti-aircraft guns. But at the time I actually felt kind of confident that we could win this. So I see a Hawk 75M, it's kind of split off from the pack, so I decided that would be a good first kill, and it obviously hasn't spotted me. And it doesn't dodge my fire, so I'm eventually able to whittle it down and get the kill. I-16's coming head on with me, so I turn and then decide to kind of go into a climbing spiral, which I then decide I'm just going to turn on this guy's tail because I know I can outturn the I-16. And it starts scissoring with me, which I didn't realise at the time, so I went through it. And at that point I realised we went into a loop, but if I had done one more scissor I would have had that guy on my tail. So well played for the I-16. But it again goes into a flat turn and levels out. And I delay my roll a bit here because I want to give a bit more separation so I can aim a bit better. And do I get the kill? Yep, just manage it right then. Which is 2 kills, and there's actually only 1 enemy aircraft left. But in that engagement against the I-16 you got to saw really both the strengths and the weaknesses of this aircraft in terms of manoeuvrability. Like, it's got a very good rate of turn, which allowed me to turn inside the I-16 twice, but its rate of roll is very poor, which allowed the I-16 to almost outfly me with its scissoring. You also got to see kind of the weakness of the guns and that they're satisfactory, and so I've killed 3 enemy aircraft so far. but they all took a bit longer than I would have hoped. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting or informative, and I'll see you all next time.